Hello and welcome back to the channel. With Bloodlines 2 so near around the corner, I thought I'd take a moment and tell you about my favorite clan, the greatest clan, Clan Tremere. Now, a bit of history, Clan Tremere actually started as House Tremere in the Order of Hermes, one of the 9 great traditions of Mage the Ascension, actually starting before Vampire the Masquerade in Ars Magica, an earlier setting and game type. Tremere, the man himself, was the leader of House Tremere, an archmagus of unparalleled power, wisdom, and authority within the order. But as the years went on in the Middle Ages, around 1200, the consensus started to change and shift as it does so, and the traditional immortality potions that he and others of the House of Tremere took started to be less effective. So, with pretty much everything on the line, he ordered his 2 lieutenants, Goratrix and Etrius, to start researching alternative ways of longevity. Eventually, his right-hand apprentice, Goratrix, said he had a solution and engaged Tremere and his 7 greatest disciples in a grand ritual to give them everlasting life. Well, after the completion of the ritual, they awoke not as mortal mages, but as kindred, vampires. Now, initially, Tremere was incensed with rage because as vampires, they had been cut off from their avatars, which are their higher selves, their ascended consciousnesses that allow them to cast magic that overpowers the consensus. So basically, they were unable to use magic in the way they had before. But gradually, through experimentation, they found a greater source of power, not the quintessence of reality in the consensus, but the potent power of the vampire's blood, the vitae, that they would now use to fuel their thaumaturgy. So, how did we get here exactly? Goratrix just comes in with a ritual and a potion and says, do it. Well, to get there, he actually kidnapped a Tzimisce elder and brought him and experimented on him and ultimately created him. So you could say, in a very technical way, that the Tremere clan are an offshoot of the Tzimisce, but not really for some reasons we'll get into. Because of the ritual, these 7 elder mages, Goratrix, Etrius, and Tremere, could be considered vampires of the 4th generation at this time. As you can tell, the Tzimisce were not very keen about this and started to wage war upon the Tremere, as well as the Order of Hermes started poking around, asking questions, saying what's going on, and eventually they found out that the entire house had gradually been embraced in mass and become kindred, so they declared war on the Tremere, a so-called Wizard's March, which became known as the Masassa War. Fighting a war on 2 fronts. The mages, now vampire mages of the clan, now of Hermes, embarked on an experiment to create shock troops. They needed frontline soldiers to help them on this war they were fighting against the elder Tzimisce vampires and their former peers in the House of Hermes. They experimented with Gangrel, Nosferatu, and other Tzimisce vampires to ultimately create the gargoyles, monstrosities with stone skin, great wings, bedeviled horns, and the powerful ability to withstand much pain, but with a feral mind that could be commanded. Ultimately, the Tremere were able to hold out against these 2 forces. The Tzimisce not really having the resources to continue the campaign, ending in a stalemate, and the Order of Hermes having some bigger things to worry about at this time, such as the Order of Reason, the Inquisition, and the consensus changing around this period. At this time, our great clan Tremere was not as respected amongst vampire society as we are now. In fact, we were seen as usurpers of the vampire legacy, mages dabbling in their realms and not welcome. So, great Tremere thought of a plan to change this. He would diablerize an antediluvian. Antediluvians are the most ancient and powerful vampires around, for they had survived the Great Flood that wiped out many of the ancients. Most of the antediluvians, the founders of each clan, are slumbering somewhere in torpor, a great regenerative sleep. Initially, Tremere had planned to try and diablerize Set, the antediluvian of the Setites, but ultimately decided on a less tumultuous plan to diablerize Saulot, who is the clan leader of the Salubrians, who are a mysterious and mistrusted clan, whereas the Setites are quite powerful, ordered, and militaristic, which is a wise choice in the end. So he did his research. He and his right-hand man Goratrix ultimately found the sarcophagus of Saulot slumbering beneath the Anatolian desert, and he diablerized him, drinking him dry of his blood and his soul. In this way, Tremere himself became an antediluvian of the third generation, and all the prestige that that entails. Ultimately, through time, the Tremere were welcomed into vampire society. The first big break came when the Tremere allied with the Hungarian Ventru against the Tismitsi in their ongoing conflicts. You see, the Tismitsi are mostly in Romania and the Carpathian Mountains. That's their territory. And they have a long-running rivalry with the Ventru over who is the leader of vampire society, who is the eldest. The Ventru style themselves the leaders of all kindred, as given to them by Cain through Enoch, through a lot of ancient history. The Tismitsi, of course, claim their antediluvian is the eldest, and thus they should lead. So there's a long-going struggle. The Tremere, already having made enemies of the Tismitsi, found a likely ally in the Ventru, and thus they allied, winning them a lot of favor with other kindred. The Tremere clan also found themselves invaluable as advisors and spellcasters and courts of powerful princes throughout Europe and the Middle East and the Levant, able, amongst all of the kindred, unique at casting spells, able still to work their true magic, just with a different source of power now, something no other clan, not the Assamites or the Ministry or the La Sombra or even really the Giovanni or Cappadocians, can stand up to in terms of utility and magical power because of their origin as magi, as mages, as workers of consensus and reality. Ultimately, the final boon came with the Anarch revolts and the creation of the Sabbat, where the Tremere himself, cast a powerful ritual to curse the Assamite clan and forever banish them from the halls of the newly formed Camarilla. So that's a bit about the history. Let's talk about the organization of the clan. The Tremere are the most strictly organized clan bar none, and every member knows where they stand in authority amongst their peers. This creates the illusion of total unison and cooperation for the other Cainites, who rarely know anything of the Tremere hierarchy or inner politics. Their founder and namesake, the antediluvian Tremere, sits at the top of the pyramid and supposedly directs the entire clan, though very few have seen him or witnessed his hand in action. Many do not even believe he is a real person, but perhaps an ideal of the Tremere cause or a symbol of their unity. Beneath him, the importance of the number 7 is emphasized, with each successive rank down comprised of 7 to 1, starting with the counselors. These are the members of the inner council of 7 and the true rulers of the clan, each of whom is responsible for directing clan efforts in a particular portion of the world. Each counselor appoints 7 pontifexes. A pontifex oversees a large region, such as parts of a nation or groupings of smaller countries, and in turn oversees 7 lords. Each lord is responsible for a small regents. The regents are the most visible figures of Tremere authority. A regent runs an individual chantry and is charged with the supervision of it. Magisters a term to describe a Tremere that has not sought power, but instead has become a trusted advisor who manages inter-chantry disputes. The magisters educate and see to the well-being of apprentices. Apprentices are the youngest and most numerous Tremere. Apprentices must spend much of their time training, serving some need within their chantry, or playing the politics of the clan as best as their inexperience allows. Some never advance beyond this rank, either because they are more interested in Camarilla politics, or their affairs to rise amongst the Tremere, or because the lord of the region sees no need to create a new chantry and regent. At the very bottom of the pyramid are the acolytes. These are the ones who lie below the apprentices, a rank that includes Tremere that have not yet been accepted as part of the clan, as well as groups that are bound to the Council of Seven. So, below the acolytes themselves are ghouls and gargoyles. Each rank, save for the inner council itself, is further divided into 7 levels called circles of mystery. One circle of mystery denotes one of several characteristics that have earned them prestige and further responsibility, such as skill in thaumaturgy, blood magic, years of experience, and hard work, successful political machinations, or simple favoritism. The higher one circle of mystery, the more authority and power they have access to. But they are also expected to provide more for the clan and are given much less tolerance for failure. Those of the 5th circle or above are commonly called high members of the rank, such as High Apprentice, High Regent, or High Lord, although few bother with such awkward parlance as High Apprentice. Promotion and demotion is dealt by members of higher rank, though tribunals may also be called where accomplishments and failings are examined. The pursuit of promotion is one of the most motivating factors for the clan's members to excel and obey Tremere doctrine, though advancement is rarely as simple as that. In the modern Knights, the Tremere make up one of the 3 great pillars of the Camarilla, the other 2 being the Ventru and the Toreador. And whereas before our great clan was viewed as usurpers, as mages, blood sorcerers, now we are one of the most respected, in league with the Ventru and the Toreador to promote the modern Camarilla. Now there are tales of those Tremere ante-tribu and the Sabbat, but if you've read one of the Gehenna scenarios, Tremere himself travels to Mexico City and enacts a great ritual, sacrificing all the Tremere ante-tribu at once and ascending to the power of true antediluvian after Saulot possesses his body, and then he possesses Goratrix, reanimating himself and then commencing the ritual to become a true antediluvian of his own accord. Very interesting, the Gehenna scenarios. Now, there are individual houses of Tremere, now that the Second Inquisition, so let me go back a little bit. Much like when we were House Tremere in the 9 traditions, Tremere are organized geographically within chantries, these bases of operation, learning, and occult knowledge, the capital of which is Vienna in Austria. In 2008, the Vienna chantry was attacked, some say by the Second Inquisition, some say by the Sabbat or Anarchs, some say still that it was an inside job of some kind. However, the pyramid and that structure that the Tremere strive for and take so much pride in is somewhat on the ropes as of late, and the clan has reorganized into 4 major houses. The first of these, House Tremere, which are Camarilla aligned, loyalists to the pyramid, traditional hermetics led by the elder mage Karl Schrecht. There is also House Karna. Majority of them Camarilla aligned, with some in the Anarchs. They are nonconformists, so to speak, free thinkers, and they are led by the eponymous Karna. House Goratrix, also Camarilla aligned, but with little known information about them, presumably led by Goratrix, though he was of course killed by Tremere, wasn't he? Interesting. Fourth is House Ipsimus, which is anarch-aligned, although not generally considered to be a major house, much as the anarchs operated as decentralized and leaderless. In truth, you might say the Tremere are a bloodline of the Tzimisce, as we discussed earlier, as it was the blood of the fiends that was used to create them. Regardless, there are no bloodlines of Tremere in the modern Knights, as the clan's uniformity does not allow deviations in that way. Over the centuries, the clan has fostered the image of an authoritarian society ruled by a stifling hierarchy and tyranny. Most outside the clan take it as a fact that the Tremere hegemony is strict and unforgiving. And for the most part, Clan Tremere almost encourages this reputation by simply never acknowledging or correcting it directly. In actuality, though, the clan as a whole is less rigid and less uniform than most know, and its power structure is both more intricate and delicate than most outsiders realize. Superiors will set expectations for their underlings, and any who prove a direct threat to the clan are hunted down and neutralized. But while some regents and lords can be brutally draconian, others are far more liberal. In fact, many are smart enough to realize that seeding needless discontent only motivates rebellion, and while the pyramid is meant to compel obedience, each member is still an individual who harbors their own ambitions. As such, superiors regularly use promises of advancement, occult teachings, and access to the thaumaturgical secrets that the clan places its monolithic monopoly over to motivate said individuals to stay in line and to placate their thirst for power. To the rest of the kindred society, we always present a unified front. Given our history as usurpers and power grabbers, we are obsessed with the image and reputation of the clan, but some say underneath the veneer, the close-knit hierarchy of the pyramid breeds ruthless competition. As such, night-to-night experience for many Tremere become a labyrinth of Byzantine politics, where endless scheming and cutthroat maneuvering lurks at every corner from those below and those above. Aside from the clan hierarchy, Tremere also sometimes form political factions and houses within the clan, which range from cults to distinct colleges of magic or other intellectual pursuits. These groups are generally highly informal and maintain their own organization, if any at all, and some may even be at odds with another. The Tremere, as I said, are one of the primary pillars of the Camarilla in modern Knights, arguably second only to the Ventru in terms of the support and the influence we possess. Most of this power, of course, comes from our near monopoly of thaumaturgy, but also from the encouragement for individual Tremere to place clan interests higher on their list of priorities. The clan is synonymous with blood magic, a fact that we use to instill fear and envy in others. The Tremere differ from the other occult-minded kindred by adopting a uniquely scientific approach to magic, and they encourage active experimentation, the results being a staggering array of thaumaturgical paths and rituals. The clan places great value at the numerological value of the number 7, seeing the mind ordered akin to a pyramid ordered in 7 steps. The internal discipline of the mind mirrors the structure of the clan itself. Thoughts, desires, and fears have to be ordered in these 7 steps. Likewise, the pyramid teaches 7 lessons, those of discontinuity, hierarchy, apathy, favor, authority, documentation, and surveillance, in order to shape our members into their desired form. Condition reinforced by the fact the local regent must give permission for an individual to be sired. Individuals of strong will or aggressive personalities are normally sought, provided they have a clear head and can learn to be a part of the greater whole that is the clan. Candidates were scholars in life, and many dabbled in the occult to one extent or another, though that is not an absolute prerequisite. Of course, there are rogue embraces for the usual reasons: love, political gain, or accidents. Regents often have these mistakes killed immediately, with suitable punishments levied against the sire, but there are always exceptions. Soon after being embraced, Tremere neonates are made to commit to the Tremere Code, which elaborates on what is expected of a Tremere and what activities would earn disfavor. The neonate has to drink the blood of the Inner Council of Seven through a ritual called the Transubstantiation of Seven, bringing them one step closer towards a blood bond to the clan's leaders and ensuring some degree of loyalty to their peers. Afterwards, their training begins. Even as they continue to grapple with their transformation into a vampire, memorize their traditions, learn to feed, and so on, these factors lead to a high rate of failure in newly embraced Tremere, who may go mad or commit suicide. Our clan, in fact, has one of the lowest member counts of the great clans of the Camarilla, but this is made up for our great expertise and monopoly over thaumaturgy. In game terms, the Tremere have the three disciplines of Auspex, Domination, and the unique discipline of Blood Sorcery. The Tremere clan curse, as it is, as the Tremere do not bear a true curse, is that of perfectionism. A Tremere must get things right. They must get it perfect. Okay is not good enough. A Tremere may obsess and obsess over a certain assignment or spell or surveillance document until they get it perfect. The number 7 being constantly rummaging about their minds as they do so, getting it in perfect numerological harmony. Tremere also are, after the destruction of the Vienna Chantry, unblood bondable, though they can still blood bond mortals and create ghoul servants, but it takes a bit more vitae to do so. But that's pretty much all I have for you today. If you're excited for Bloodlines 2 as I am, leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content coming out, or I'll see you in the next night, my kindred. That was cringe. That was RP cringe, but you know what? I'm feeling cringe, so ciao.